Shelby has never been about playing it safe. From the moment Carroll Shelby put a V8 into a lightweight roadster, the brand has been synonymous with raw power, aggressive styling, and relentless speed. Over the years, Shelby has built some of the most insane cars and trucks on the planet. From classic muscle to modern supercharged monsters, each Shelby vehicle carries a legacy of innovation and dominance. Here are 10 of the fastest cars built by Shelby. Number 10, 1965 Shelby GT350R Mustang. In the mid-60s, the Mustang was the new kid on the block. It looked cool, had decent power, and sold like crazy. But for Carroll Shelby, decent power wasn't good enough. He took Ford's car and turned it into something that didn't just belong on the streets. This was the beginning of the 1965 Shelby GT350R. At first glance, the GT350R looked similar to a standard Mustang, but it didn't take long to realize this was a whole different vehicle. The body was stripped down, losing unnecessary weight wherever possible. The car came with a 4.7-liter V8 that generated 360 horsepower and allowed the car to accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 5.5 seconds and reach a top speed of 130 miles per hour. This was a huge number in the 60s. Only 36 of these GT350Rs were ever built, making them one of the rarest and most valuable Mustangs in existence today. Number 9, 2008 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500. By the 2000s, the muscle car wars were back in full swing. Dodge had the Charger and Challenger, Chevy was cooking up the new Camaro, and Ford had a trick up its sleeve. The 2008 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500. The design alone told you everything you needed to know about the car. It featured big racing stripes, an aggressive front grille, and an intimidating stance. Plus, the Shelby GT500 came with a supercharged 5.4-liter V8 that produced 500 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque. That meant the car could go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 4.3 seconds and reach a top speed of 155 miles per hour. But this wasn't just a straight-line bruiser. With a 6-speed manual transmission and an upgraded suspension, the GT500 had the handling to back up its power. It was heavier than the GT350R, sure, but thanks to modern engineering, it still managed to feel planted in the corners, making it easier to handle even for new drivers. Number 8, 1965 Shelby Cobra 427. Few cars in history command as much respect as the 1965 Shelby Cobra 427. It wasn't just fast, it was brutal. This was Carroll Shelby's most ambitious project yet, taking a lightweight British roadster and fitting it with a massive 7.0-liter V8. The Cobra 427 was all about extremes. The chassis was small and lightweight, but the engine was anything but that. With 485 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque, it had more power than most drivers knew what to do with. When the road opened up, it delivered relentless acceleration, 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 4.3 seconds with a top speed of 165 miles per hour. That was faster than some race cars of its time. Handling the Cobra was an experience like no other. It had no fancy driver aids, no traction control, and no room for mistakes. To simply put it, the car was designed for experts. Number 7, 2020 Ford Shelby Mustang GT350R. Shelby's legacy isn't just about making cars that can do well in a short drag race, it's also about precision. The 2020 Ford Shelby Mustang GT350R took everything great about the standard GT350 and refined it into a track-ready machine built for handling and performance. At the heart of the GT350R was Ford's 5.2-liter flat-plane crank V8, known as the Voodoo engine. With 526 horsepower and 429 pound-feet of torque, it wasn't the most powerful Mustang, but it was one of the most engaging to drive. The high-revving nature of the engine combined with a 6-speed manual transmission made every shift feel purposeful. When the power was unleashed, it could launch from 0 to 60 miles an hour in just 3.9 seconds and reach a maximum speed of 172 miles per hour. This Mustang was built to handle corners. The Magna Ride suspension, precise steering, and sticky Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tires gave it razor-sharp handling, making it one of the best driving Mustangs ever made. Number 6, 2000 Shelby Series 1. Every Shelby vehicle before the Series 1 was based on an existing platform. This was different. This was the first and only car entirely designed by Shelby from the ground up. And while it may not be as well known as the Cobras or GT500s, it was one of the most unique projects Shelby ever worked on. The Series 1 was built with lightweight materials, including an aluminum chassis and carbon fiber body panels. Under the hood sat an Oldsmobile 4.0-liter V8, producing up to 450 horsepower. That may not sound as extreme as some of Shelby's other creations, but thanks to its low weight of just 2,650 pounds, the car could accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3.7 seconds and hit a top speed of 170 miles per hour. The Series 1 was engineered for balance. Its near-perfect 50-50 weight distribution, advanced suspension, and aerodynamic design made it feel incredibly stable even at high speeds. Number 5, 2019 Shelby GT-S. Most Shelby cars are built to be owned, driven, and cherished by car lovers, but the 2019 Shelby GT-S was different. It was the first Shelby Mustang designed specifically for the rental market. That's right, this wasn't just a high-performance Mustang, it was a car you could rent and experience without needing a six-figure budget. But make no mistake, this was no ordinary rental car. Shelby took a standard Mustang GT and transformed it into something far more aggressive. Under the hood was a supercharged 5.0-liter V8 pushing out over 600 horsepower. With its upgraded suspension, performance-tuned exhaust, and custom Shelby styling, it looked and drove like a true muscle car should. And when it came to acceleration, the GT-S could go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3.6 seconds with a top speed of 155 miles per hour. For many, this was the closest they'd ever get to owning a Shelby, and it was a chance to experience real muscle car power firsthand. Number 4. 2013 Shelby GT500. Back in 2013, Ford was looking for a car to help them dominate the muscle car market, and their weapon of choice was the 2013 version of the Shelby GT500. This was the most powerful production Mustang ever built at the time. At its heart was a supercharged 5.8-liter V8 that produced 662 horsepower and 631 pound-feet of torque. That was more power than some supercars. When it came to straight-line speed, it was unmatched. 0 to 60 miles an hour in just 3.5 seconds and a top speed of 200 miles per hour. No Mustang had ever been this fast before. Ford and Shelby worked together to refine the GT500's aerodynamics, suspension, and braking system, making sure it could handle its immense power. Number 3. 2022 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500. The 2022 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500 wasn't just another fast Mustang. It was the height of modern Shelby engineering, the most advanced, most powerful, and most refined Shelby Mustang ever produced. It took everything great about the previous GT500 and pushed it to the extreme. Under the hood was a 5.2-liter supercharged V8 codenamed Predator, producing 760 horsepower and 625 pound-feet of torque. This allowed the car to accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3.4 seconds with a top speed of 180 miles per hour. One of the biggest advancements was the 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, which allowed for lightning-fast shifts with precision and smoothness. It was a significant departure from the manual-only GT500s of the past, but it made the car faster and more accessible to a wider range of drivers. Number 2. Shelby F-150 Super Snake Sport. The Shelby F-150 Super Snake Sport, a pickup that defies expectations by delivering supercar-level acceleration in a full-size truck. Powering the Super Snake Sport is a 5.0-liter supercharged V8, producing an incredible 770 horsepower. That kind of power meant this was one of the fastest vehicles Shelby had ever built, and when the numbers came in, they were staggering. 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3.4 seconds and a top speed of 190 miles per hour. Shelby didn't stop at straight-line speed. The Super Snake Sport received a lowered suspension, upgraded brakes, and performance-tuned shocks, giving it handling that felt more like a muscle car than a heavy-duty hauler. Shelby simply gave truck lovers what they've always dreamed of. Number 1. Shelby GT500 CODE RED. Shelby has built some wild cars over the years, but none quite like this. The Shelby GT500 CODE RED was a no-limits, no-rules experiment in what happens when you take Ford's most powerful Mustang and push it beyond anything street legal. At the heart of CODE RED was a heavily modified 5.2-liter twin-turbocharged V8, producing a mind-blowing 1,300 horsepower and 1,000 pound-feet of torque on E85 fuel. That made it the most powerful Shelby Mustang ever built by a wide margin. When it came to acceleration, it was on a completely different level, blasting from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 3 seconds and over 200+ miles per hour top speed. To handle this immense power, Shelby completely reworked the car's drivetrain. The dual-clutch transmission was reinforced, the suspension was upgraded, and the chassis was strengthened to deal with the sheer force of 1,300 horsepower. With only 30 units ever built, it's one of the rarest Shelby vehicles in the world. Which other Shelby vehicle deserves a spot on the list? Let us know in the comments.